Hello, I'm Christa Jacobson, head mistress of the Budo Ryu, where we teach authentic ninjutsu and classical samurai bujutsu. For those of you guys who know what that is the ancient martial arts of the ninja and samurai. And today I have a couple of students who have drove into the Hanbu Dojo to train at this year's annual Daikomyosai, right?
Right.
And you came in from where?
High Point, North Carolina.
North Carolina. And
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Ohio, love it. So anyway, I thought we would shoot a quick video before the camp starts here in a few hours and just kind of have a little bit of a ninjutsu discussion, you know what I mean, from people who are who do train in the online dojo, but they are kind of away from the Hanbu. So you guys have a different, perception of how things go and what you guys do with martial arts, and hopefully you guys can share some of your thoughts with the rest of the people who are on that other side of the camera studying with us, right?
Right.
Okay, so to start, this is Mr. Dupree, and this is Mr. Magana, and so let's start with Mr. Dupree here. What was you've studied other martial arts before, and for those of you guys who don't know who Mr. Dupree is, I'll make sure I put a link in the description below. He does have a YouTube channel, and he has already posted a few videos, so if you guys would like to follow him and his journey in ninjutsu, go to the description below and you guys can follow his YouTube channel as well. But for this channel, explain why you want to study ninjutsu. What's your intrigue to this martial art?
Well, primarily, to defend my family and myself. We are in some crazy times in this day and age, but martial arts, well, ninjutsu specifically, is like a well-rounded school of self-defense and military tactics. Something that I always wanted to learn since I've been a child, been growing up. So, and as well as the spiritual aspect of ninjutsu, I feel that it will help me in my personal journey.
Okay.
To find myself spiritually.
Okay, so right. So what about you? What was your hook, line, and sinker with the ninja? Right, when you started I want to study ninjutsu, right? So where was that? Where did that come from you?
For me, it was ever since when I was little. I really wanted to study martial arts. Also, it had to do with mostly just to defend myself and my family. But yeah, I was fascinated until one day, playing games and saw ninjas. They caught my attention. I'm like, oh wow. So the more I tried to look into it, the more I thought just like how Mr. Pre here said, it was more well-rounded.
Right.
And that's what caught my attention, because I feel like I'll be able to train in many areas. That will help me apply it to hopefully when I need it.
Right.
And also leave something also to my kids.
Right.
If I ever do have some.
No, that's it. Got it. I understand. I think it's great. Yeah. So for these of you guys who are following my channel, if you guys have been following my channel for any length of time, we have hundreds of videos on my channel. We talk about authentic ninjutsu and classical samurai bujutsu and traditional Japanese martial arts, reality-based self-defense, weapons training and tactics, survival skills, all this kind of stuff, right? And with everything that I throw out there all the time from a historical ninjutsu and samurai bujutsu perspective, one of the things you hear me say in a few of my videos that I've never actually made a video about, but it's called Musha Shugyo, which is like the warrior journey, right? And there's all these stories you've seen. I'm sure both of you guys have watched or played video games or watched movies of the samurai that's wandering Japan, like Rurouni Kenshin, that kind of thing. He wanders Japan. They're on this warrior pilgrimage, if you will, and they're testing their skills as they travel Japan. They're trying to find enlightenment, and that Musha Shugyo is a really big aspect towards samurai training. And in a way, that's what you guys are doing. You guys have drove hours upon hours to get here to better yourself in the warrior arts. So we'll start with you again. So how many hours did you drive to get to Kansas City to do this?
I drove 9 hours, but before that, I'm glad that you said that Musha Shugyo, because when I did hear you explain that, I said to myself, wow, that exactly seemed like what I'm on. For one reason, I actually had some obstacles on the way here.
Right.
I was supposed to rent a vehicle to get here, and for some reason they wouldn't let me use my out-of-state license because I moved from Michigan to Ohio, and I have yet to change my ID over.
Right.
So at that point, I got a little discouraged, and I was like, oh, here it goes. It's about to happen. And I think I called you and let you know, hey, I'm not going to make it. And I'm thinking, and you like, what do you mean you're not going to make it? You're going to let that stop you?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, Musha Shugyo,
Right.
Warrior's Journey. So this is something I've looked at it as something that was being presented to me on a spiritual, esoteric level because I've decided to get on this journey.
Right.
So what I did is jumped in my personal vehicle and I just headed here, and I got here with no veil, no problems and things of that nature.
Right.
And that's why I see it as.
All right.
So now I'm learning that phrase, Musha Shugyo.
Musha Shugyo, yeah, like the samurai journey, right? So what about you? How many hours you drive to get here?
Well, normally it was like 13 hours, but with all those stops and traffic, it was like maybe 15 or 17.
15 to 17 hours from
Yeah.
North Carolina. I mean, you're driving half a country away.
Yeah.
Yeah, shit. So, okay, so when you're driving your 15 hours,
Yes.
what's going through your mind? What is it that you're thinking, okay, I'm going to get to the Hambu and then you're going to meet me and this is what I would really like to experience?
When on my way here, I was kind of nervous actually, because this is still a little new for me.
Right.
Meeting people in person like you,
Yeah.
Sensei. And I was wondering, maybe hopefully I can do good. Hopefully I do better. Maybe I'll learn. Basically have new experiences for me to share too.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay, so this is more of a, in a way you want to be part of something.
Mhm.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And I think for me, that's the thing that I try to reach out. You know what I mean? I want people to come in here and train. I want you guys to take the journey. I want the students who are in the online dojo. I want you guys to feel like you can come and, drive to the Hambu and have that experience. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I think that's important. A lot of times they'll come in or people won't come in and they think that, okay, well, what we see on the camera is exactly what everything's going to be. You know what I'm saying? Or the way that I heard this one thing is the way it's going to be. And they kind of look at everything kind of black and white. And I know you just got here just a little bit ago, so we haven't really got you on the floor yet, but we've been talking for a bit. But last night you took a class and you passed your exam, rank promotion.
Right.
And what was going through your head and during your rank promotion last night? You came in a day early so you can test your skills on the floor with my black belts, right? So how'd that go for you?
It was not what I expected. Doing my first 8th and 9th Q, sending in videos and things of that nature, I still passed it, but not only am I going up a higher level, but I actually came to the Hambu Dojo
Right.
and was able to get the experience with your black belts and
Yeah.
actually feel what they went through at that level.
Right.
And it was not what I expected. I feel that I passed by the skin of my teeth. It was rough. I mean, to have to do the Hojo Ondo supplemental training and be winded
Right.
at that point, and then have a brown belt come and start willing on your behind.
Yeah.
It was like something I've never experienced before.
Yeah,
But-
threw you in there and just started,
Right.
kicking the hell out of you really quick.
Right. But with you guys like putting me in the frame of mind of, okay, you're here to defend your family, and you started saying, okay, so if someone come in your house, you're going to give up like this?
Right.
That put me in a frame of mind of fight or flight,
Right.
and I think that's what helped me get over the edge to pass the exam.
Right. So one thing that they're starting to get to know, and I've made numerous videos about how I use the word extreme that we are here at the Budo Ryu with physical conditioning, and something that you two already know this, but previous, I started the Budo Ryu back in 2004, and previous to that, I was a personal trainer. It was my trade. Was my skilled trade, and I was a personal trainer and nutritionist, and I was really into athletics and kinesiology and training the body. And I firmly believe in a strong body, strong mind, and being able to endure pain and push through. And when you look at most martial arts schools, I mean, every martial arts school is going to have, okay, do some push-ups, some sit-ups. They're going to have a little bit of conditioning in there. But in this organization, the conditioning is a massive portion, because, and I got, some of you guys, both of you guys are obviously taking the ride to get here and to train and be part of this, and I'm so honored for that. But since I have you here in the Hambu and I'm talking to camera, I really want to make sure that everyone gets the feeling of the reason it's so important. that you have to be able to be in extreme shape. These extreme workouts that make people do. People come down here, they do this, they go outside and just throw up. You know, they start yakking. You're like, you're like, oh, I'm like, just get it over. It's better out than it is in. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's because if you can go through pain and keep going, then you know you've earned something. But a lot of people don't want to push themselves through pain. They want to do something and they want to be told that they're doing a good job, but they don't want to actually go through the pain and the hardship to get to where they want to be. But if you're not willing to go through the pain, if you're not willing to do the dirt time and what it needs to be to get to overcome adversity and to make yourself better, well, then you didn't make yourself better. You know what I mean by that? It's like forging that metal, right?
You'll appreciate it more.
Yeah, it's like if you take a piece of metal and you want to make a sword, you got to heat it up, beat the hell out of it, and get it in shape. Well, that's what we're going to do here. I'm going to heat you up, beat the shit out of you, and get you in shape, right? Shape you into what you're looking for. So, so as you're looking for the ninja, we're going backwards now. So as you're looking at the ninja online, there's all these other ninjutsu organizations. What drew you to the Budo Ryu? What was it about this organization and the way that I do things that kind of connected you to this more so than, say, some of the other ones?
Well, when I look at the other ones, you know, it was something you always say that, you know, most martial arts, you know, they're not really focusing on the student being better. I've been saying that most of the time too, you know, every time I go and try to see, you know, I see the students and the teachers, but they really are, like what you say, out of shape. They can't do it. They do maybe a couple of techniques, but then that's it.
Right.
There's no betterment. There's no, all right, I gotta put you more than you should be.
Right.
And that kind of dismotivated too. And I'm just like, well, I don't think this is gonna help.
Right.
And then I was looking into ninjutsu, and again, like, it's hard to find a really good ninjutsu school because there's a lot of people that would say it's ninjutsu, but it's taijutsu. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, and I'm just like, no. Until, you know, I was looking through the web and I saw Budo Ryu, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna click on this, and you know, I see the video, I see the whole shebang, and I'm just like, you know what? I feel like this is the way to go.
Yeah. So what about you? So now it's your same question. You're looking online. You're looking for ninjutsu. You're trying to find that art. We just talked about why you were interested in it. What made you choose the Budo Ryu over, you know, some of the other organizations? Because you had to have seen the other. You can't find me and not see them. I mean, you know, I know that the online critics and trolls and all these people like to, you know, bash people and say these hateful comments. But the reality of it is, anyone who studies in the Budo Ryu had to have made the choice to study here, because you can't Google ninjutsu and not see the other options. You catch what I'm saying? And I think sometimes these hateful critics, they, for some reason, I think they give, like, people who are not in their organization, whether that's me or somebody else, like more, I don't want to say clout, more power, more position. It's not like people can search for ninjutsu and I'm the only option. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like, you search for ninjutsu, you're going to see me, you're going to see all these other ninjutsu organizations, you're going to see all these other ninjutsu teachers, and that's just the reality of the web. You have all these options. So anyone who's training at the Budo Ryu chose the Budo Ryu over those other options. Right. And we hear what he has to say, but what do you say? What was it about you that drew you to this organization as opposed to some of the other ones?
I can go different avenues with that, but primarily it was based on my experience because I was with the Bujutsu system, the online dojo, and they actually will allow you to buy the whole course without, you know, testing or anything. And I thought that was kind of weird. And also, what he said, as far as when I looked at it, just seemed like pretty much just taijutsu. Right. And that wasn't what I was looking for. I was looking for real ninjutsu, like the getting the dirt and the stealth and the climbing and the making powders and things of that nature.
Right.
And I started watching your videos and I said, that's what I'm looking for. And then it's this thing, a concept that I have of, you have one organization that's many are called, many are accepted, and then you have many are called, few are chosen.
Right.
And that's what I think about Budo Ryu. You know, it's few, and I feel that the reason that it is few because you have such a high standard for your students that not everybody make the cut.
Right.
So that's the style that I was looking for, something that wasn't easily given.
Right. I mean, I'll definitely say that one thing I definitely, and this isn't, I don't know that this isn't a good thing or a bad thing. It's not a positive. It's not a negative. It's just kind of the way I am.
Yeah.
I am an extreme. You guys are going to grab this. I'm an extreme. I am an extreme person. I expect excellence. If you don't want to give excellence, then you can take your money somewhere else. I am an extreme person. I will own that. Good or bad, I'm extreme. I will own it. But one thing I've done, and again, I don't know that this is, I think some people can see this as a positive, and I think maybe many people on the side of the camera would see this as a negative, but I've even had people who are open at training groups. They've had schools, they had training groups, they were working, they were doing that kind of thing, and because they weren't up to the level of excellence that I want, the way that we do physical conditioning, the way that I want things to be done, I've just kicked them out. And I know that from a business perspective, that's a bad thing, because you're like, you make more money if you have more schools, and more schools is more people, but I just refuse to perpetuate the things that I stand against in the martial arts. Do you catch what I'm saying?
I really feel there's a reason, like a more esoteric level, as far as this tradition really having to be preserved. And in order for it to be preserved, you will have to be strict, because if you just be lax with it, then it'll just dwindle down. And then it goes down to pretty much nothing. And then the tradition is lost and end up being something totally different.
Right. What is it about ninjutsu on your side? What is it that you've learned here, right, and within ninjutsu that you didn't know with your whatever previous stuff you were doing? What was it that you're like, okay, I get that, and that's something that sparked you? Like, what would be one of those things that stand out? They're like, okay, yeah, I get that. I know it's kind of a generic question, isn't it? Because it's like, well, you don't really know where to decipher what was what. But I mean, what was the one thing about that, whether it's ninja as a person, or ninjutsu as the art, or ninpo as the way? What is it about this concept of nin, right? That you've learned, that you feel like you've learned something through your training in the Online Ninjutsu Dojo?
I feel like, to me, it's probably just perseverance.
Right.
It's one of actually the key things, and I feel like it also implies in our daily lives too, because you need to persevere in order to get what you want.
Right.
That's, I guess, for me, that's what it is.
Okay.
Just to persevere, to endure, and to keep going.
Okay. All right. What about you? What's something that you feel that, okay, now that, because you, like you just got done saying, you've studied with different ninjutsu organizations, you've done different martial arts previous. What is it you've learned since your time with this organization that's made you've now changed the view about something? You've seen it something from a different perspective.
I would pretty much have to say the way that life is, it's like a ebb and a flow.
Right.
And I'm actually trying to apply that to my personal relationship with my significant other, and I think ninjutsu has actually helped me with that, because you have different elements that coincide with each other, and also correspond with our different attitudes, kind of like the kamai.
Right.
Kamai is spirit attitude.
Right.
So I'm pretty much trying to correlate that study of ninjutsu to my mentality and my personal relationships.
Okay. What is it about, so I know that you've talked about previous, in here we were talking about how you play the games, and you're designing the games and all this kind of stuff, and you've gone to college to learn how to design games. And is there something about through your experience, whether it's personal experience through ninjutsu training, games, movies, comic books, stories, anything that's ever influenced you about the ninja, what's the one thing that stands out that you think is super cool about the ninja? And it could be from any source. So this doesn't have to be, your answer doesn't have to necessarily reflect a historical truth. It could be something that's, you saw it in an anime, you saw it in a video game. Like, what is it about the ninja that really drew you to this, like, that I think is super cool?
I feel like, to me, it's just, of course, on video games, there's several games I could use this.
Well, go ahead,
to answer.
throw them out there.
The first one that kind of really got to me was Tenchu Z.
Tenshu? Oh, so Tenshu Z, not Tenshu.
No, Tenchu and Tenchu Z.
Okay, because I know in the Tenshu community there's a line there, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I still think Tenchu Z was okay, but I mean, but still, that really got me because you know you have to play as Rikimaru and you know you have to use your shadows and then you have to be kind of strategic in how you have to do things. That kind of caught me, and then you have to, of course, endure some of the stuff you have to go through. That's what got me.
Okay.
And also there was also Ninja Gaiden.
Okay.
You're like really powerful dragon ninja.
Okay.
You know, your sword skills and shurikens, and you're just fighting on just guessing.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So the idea of when you're playing the games, that's inspired you to look at ninja or ninjutsu, because we've all. I mean, the thing is, as corny as it sounds to you guys on the camera, and this is a video that I want to make, but I just haven't made yet. But I have in the past. So I think most of you guys are following me for a long time knows this, but. For me, what got me going into martial arts in the very beginning, back in the early 80s, there was way before you were probably even born yet, but way back in the day, they had this TV cartoon on Saturday morning called He-Man, Masters of the Universe, right? And there was a character on He-Man called Teela. And Teela she was a woman, and she was this dominant woman that was kicking everybody's ass. She was the head of the army, you know, and the city of Eternia, so to speak, the castle of Eternia, and she's the head of the army, and her dad is man at arms, you know, and all this kind of stuff. But she had this staff, and she's this very strong-willed woman that, I mean, don't get me wrong, there was still that sense of femininity to her, but she was very powerful, and she wanted to fight, and she wanted to fight for something and fight for this cause, right? And that, as when I was very young, that really made me want to do martial arts. And then for martial arts, you know, you study different ones, and then you kind of, for me, I was like, yeah, ninjutsu is the way to go. But my initial draw to martial arts was Teela from the cartoon He-Man, Masters of the Universe. So I'm just throwing that little footnote out there. But what you're saying is you're playing these video games, and you got, you know, Rikimaru and this kind of thing. So you're saying that you're using the shadows and you're using strategy to complete objectives.
Yes.
And you think. And in that thought, you're saying that really intrigued you more so than just, you know, put up your dukes and beat the shit out of someone.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, because, I mean, you see that every day, you know, get up, beat up, that's it. And I'm just like, well, there's no fun to that, you know?
Right, yeah. The strategy behind it. Right. Okay, I get it. I can see that. I see that. What about you? What was again, you can use anything, whether it's a movie, a comic book, a video game. What was the thing that was like, ninjas are super cool? You saw something and you were like drawn to that iconic image of it. And it doesn't have to be a historical reference, that kind of thing. But what was it? What was the first thing that ninja? There was this thing in your head that made you think, okay, I want to look into that. What was that?
Well, I have to say it was a movie. Shokasuji, I was a big Shokasuji fan, and I just thought Shokasuji was so awesome with all the different variety of weapons that he had. Like, it was just one scene where he had this box and he pressed a button and it came out in the smoke and all that. And he had the shurikens and the chains and the kamas and things of that nature. And I just thought that was just so awesome. And he was just so ninjas. It just gave me a perception of ninjas being so way ahead of their time. It just seemed like they came out of a time machine or something.
Right.
You mean you had these sophisticated warriors back in ancient feudal Japan? Like, I can just imagine the level of strategies and techniques that they had.
I think when you look at so I'm gonna throw a little bit at both of you guys now, because you guys now had to share that a little bit. But if you guys, I'm sure by now you guys have seen the yin and the yo, the yin yang symbol, you know, the black one.
Yes.
So when you think of it from a classical Koryu perspective, right? So if you think of this yin and yang sign, or yin and yo from a Koryu, the white part of it represents Bujutsu, right? So the warrior arts, the samurai arts, kenjutsu, jujutsu, iaijutsu, kinjutsu, etc. Then you have the dark part, and that represents ninjutsu, right? So like, you know, inen-jutsu, yonin-jutsu, you know, shinobi, iri, all this kind of stuff, tanjutsu, etc. So when you put them together, you get this collective aspect. If you look at the people, and this is going to be a complete stereotype. I'm throwing stereotype out here today. It is a stereotype. When you look at a lot of people that only focus so much on the Bujutsu side of this, like we'll say like the punch, kick stuff, right? Yeah. Boxing, kickboxing, karate, that sort of thing. There's a sense of I can beat you, and I want to be a champion. I want to be the winner. I want to right?
Right.
And when you look at a lot of people that study those arts, like the Jujutsu and the MMA and the kickboxing and the karate, you kind of get that. Not that that's a bad thing for you guys who are watching and you guys are into those things. That's not a bad thing. I mean, we all have different character traits and personalities, and we all deal with different demons, you know what I mean? And those are the things we deal with, and we have to find ways to train to make ourselves better. So I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing that those arts do that. But on the other side of that, one thing about the ninja that I think nobody puts their finger on is, if you notice, they all, in the movies and the comic books and the video games, and you know, we're stepping away from the historical scrolls here. We're talking about the draw, what drew us to the idea of ninja. They're all wearing a mask.
Right.
They all hid their identity. They didn't, so clearly they don't want anyone to know who they are, but they're still standing up for good.
Right.
They're doing the right thing, but they don't want anyone to know who they are, and they're not looking for credit. Where when you look at the other side of the coin, you know, that white, about the Bujutsu side, and you see the MMA fighters and the kickboxers and the boxers and the karate tournament fighters, and I'm the champion and I did this and I defeated so-and-so. And that personality, that character, that draws people to that.
Right.
There's certain people that's really drawn to that, and they want to do that. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I absolutely don't think that's a bad thing. But then you got the people on this side of the coin that are more drawn to the idea of, I want to be able to do the right thing and I want to stand for a good cause, but I don't know that I want to put myself, I'm covering my identity. Do you catch what I'm saying? Like I want to do the right thing, but I don't want to take the credit for the right thing. You know, can you catch what I'm saying with that? Have you ever looked at it from that perspective?
Yeah, I pretty much. This again, like from games, I also like to play Assassin's Creed. It's pretty much the same thing.
Okay.
You hide your identity, but they're doing like something good, but they don't want no credit.
Okay.
Because they want people to, you know, just carry on. They don't want to be kind of, I guess, egotistical about it, maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of get it.
You catch what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that you know, hiding your identity but still standing for the cause, I think that's one of those things that really is a character perception or a character difference from what you see from the samurai Bujutsu, if you want to say community, the Bujutsu community, as opposed to the ninjutsu community. You know what I'm saying? The practitioners, if you will, right? Now, I think you were going to add to that. What were you going to say to that?
No, it just reminded me of a way that I'm feeling, especially since I've acquired, you know, certain spiritual wisdom as far as, you know, my spiritual self. You know, I see myself as, I'll be real with myself and say, if I was to leave this plane right now, what type of person would I be if I was still the spirit? And I would be one of those type of spirits that would actually just go out and change things for the greater good and help people and not want to, you know, make my presence known, and I'll be perfectly comfortable with that. And ninjutsu kind of gives me that feeling of fulfilling that part of my spiritual nature, because ninjas are pretty much like that. They work behind the scenes and affect cause for the greater good. Right.
So last question. It's kind of a two-part question. Okay. So we're going with you first. Okay. The last question is, what have you enjoyed? What is about both of these individuals, you know, they drove in, and so they're both students in the online dojo. What is it about the online dojo that you like, and what is the biggest surprise with it? Something that you didn't expect, like in a positive way. What's a positive expectation or something more positive than the quote-unquote product that you thought you were going to be getting? So what's the positive things you would say about the online training?
I feel like the positive for me would have to be, you know, just that you have, you know, the sources right there, and you have the notes, and you can write them down. But also because you're more involved and you're, you know, always keep up with me, telling me, you know, I expect greatness, and you got to keep at it, and that I never was expecting that, to be honest. You kind of focus into me because you know.
Right. So you were expected to buy a product, and then I wasn't going to be involved.
Yeah, not too much involved, you know. Right. You know, involved, but not too much. But you know, what surprised me is that you really did work with me, and you know, you even shot me, feedback, how I can perform better,
Right.
and that helped me out.
Right.
So-
Right. Yeah. What about you? It's your turn. So to make sure we move on, you're saying that the biggest surprise is that you were expecting to buy a product and that was going to be there, but you didn't expect me to be as involved with your training as I thought. It'd be more of a. Right, I get you. Got it. Yeah. Okay.
It's the same thing with me. It's your personal interaction with me. It like amazed me because you shot me a video and said, "I'm shooting you this video just to let you know that I'm talking to you," and you said my name, Mr. Dupree, and I was like, "Wow, this is the real deal."
Right.
Like she's actually interacting with me.
Yeah.
That's something I wasn't expecting. I thought I was just going to buy the product and then at my leisure,
Right.
if I choose to turn in a video or whatever. But
Yeah.
you was like, hey, send me an introductory video. I want to hear you.
Right.
And that's something I wasn't expecting as well
Right.
because I'm a bit of an introvert.
Right.
And you kind of brought that out, and I said, man, I'm not going to get accepted if I don't open my mouth and talk. Ever since I've joined
Yeah.
the Budo Ryu, I've been more talkative, and I've always wanted to enhance that part of me.
Right.
To be more outspoken.
I think it's a good thing with martial arts. One thing that you get in dojo without really, people come to the dojo, Hambu, wherever, and they're forced to interact with someone because they have to hit the bags together. They got to do techniques together. So there's that point of even if you don't know your training partner, you have to interact with them to train. In the online dojo, it's not there. There's nothing. You guys are watching videos that I've already previously shot, and et cetera, et cetera. So for me, I think that for you guys watching the video, I don't know if most of you guys don't know this or not, but I always shoot personal introduction videos for everyone who joins. I'm constantly on your asses and be like, when's that review coming? And and I'll send videos to everybody. And I feel like by forcing, and it is a force. It's one of those things where, okay, the first thing you got to do is an introduction video,
Right.
because I feel like interacting with people, even if it's on a digital or whatever that word is, internet-wise, or what I'm talking about, even if it's through a camera,
Yeah.
you're still interacting. We're still interacting with one another, and that's one of the positive things about martial arts is interacting with people, learning how to be comfortable talking to people and being around people. And I know we're living in a digital age. We're living in an age where a lot of people talk through a camera. A lot of people talk on, Zoom or Skype or Messenger or whatever. And honestly, I get that a lot because I find when people send me messages, if I'm on Messenger, I'll see if they have a little green dot. I just
call. Say that too. I wasn't expecting that. Like I'm texting, then next thing you know,
yeah, and I'm
like, whoa.
And I'm like literally getting you on live feed. What's your question? And I answer it real quick. I got a second. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people. I think that's a big shock for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But that's just the way I am. If I'm going to expect excellence from you guys and expect you guys to be dedicated to this and this what we're doing, I want to make sure that I'm giving the same thing back to you guys. It's not one of those things where I'm asking you to do something I'm not willing to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, with all that being said, would you tell the world they need to join the online dojo if they want to do ninjutsu?
Well, if you're thinking about it, don't think about it. Just do it.
Just do it. Is that what you would go with on that one?
Absolutely. If you think you can take the training, you're really serious. You really need to be serious when considering the Budo Ryu, I think. If not, then there are other organizations out there that are more to your liking if you're not serious. That's from my personal experience.
Is that not the most professional way that you can say it politically correctly? I'm saying it. I absolutely love it. So, to all of you guys out there, again, this is Mr. Magana. This is Mr. Dupree. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you guys are interested in authentic ninjutsu and classical samurai bujutsu, and you don't live next to one of our dojo, you don't live next to a dojo, excuse me, please check out my website at www.budoryuninjutsu.com, and you can check out our schools and a list of our schools. If you don't live next to one of our schools, you can join the online dojo like these two gentlemen have, and you can start your training that way. So thank you guys very much. Take care, be safe, and good luck in your journey of Budo. All right, bye.